Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with another awesome weekend figure review. Today we are going over the DC Comics Designer Series J. Lee Catwoman. And I am so glad I got this figure in my collection. She is very, very awesome. There are some things that are kind of like, but again, as I've said, that is always going to happen with any figure you pick up. There's always pros and cons. If you want to pick this figure up, you're going to have to go the unconventional route and check out Amazon or eBay. I believe I got her on eBay for about $23, $24, and then I can't remember how much the shipping was, but she's not on Big Bad Toy Store nor Megaopolis or DC Entertainment. I double checked. So yeah, or, fingers crossed, make sure to support your local comic shop and give them a buzz and see if there's a way they can order it through whatever sources they may have, because a lot of shops will go out of their way to help you out, because my local shop has, and I appreciate them every time that they do it. Now you see here, you can see Catwoman, you see you get two heads, very cool, beautiful. I love that it always has that faded background of like all the other of Catwoman. Other ones will do the different figures, but this one's Catwoman, as you can kind of see that dark purple faded look right there, really cool. You get Catwoman on the side right there, and then you have these three holes here on the side, and I always say, is that for the figure to breathe? I don't know. If you guys know why, let me know. You spin it around here to the back, and you see all the other figures that are sculpted after J. Lee's comic series. So as you can see, they all look really cool. I'll make sure to get a close-up so you guys can see which figures you want. You can pause it. Flip it around this way, you get a really cool kind of silhouetted, washed-out version of Catwoman. You see the Batman-Superman logo, Catwoman number 4, DC Collectors, DC Designer Series. Flip it back around here to the front and see Catwoman again. Look up at the top and you get that cool Batman-Superman logo from the Greg Pak J. Lee run, which if you have not read that, definitely give it a shot. We'll get more into that here in a second. You flip around here to the bottom. All the legal stuff, who cares? But what we do care about is this Catwoman an awesome figure? So let's get the cat out of the box and get a closer look at Selina Kyle. And here's Catwoman out of her packaging, and just on the initial glance, she looks absolutely amazing. I love the way that she's sculpted. I like the paint apps, and we'll get into that in a minute, but just wanted to put her on the stand and just appreciate this designer series because, yeah, I'm really happy with my purchase of this figure, man. She looks beautiful. This looks like the newer Catwoman. I appreciate the old look, but I would just like this new look a lot better. That's just my personal preference. If you let me know what generation of Catwoman you like down in the comments below. But man, this one, yeah, I'm so glad that I found this one on Amazon for a good price. Because I don't remember if there was a whole lot that were available at the time, because I bought her a while back. But yeah, man, just looking at her like this up close, yeah, that's going to look really super sweet on a shelf next to the Gotham City Sirens and Batman as well. So why don't we go ahead and get Selina off the spinner here and get a closer look at her accessories, paint apps, and her articulation, and just kind of go over all the pros and cons of what makes this figure awesome. And let's go ahead and take a look first at the two accessories that Catwoman comes with. She comes with an extra head with the goggles up, as we just saw a moment ago. She has the goggles down, and then she comes with her trademark whip. So let's go ahead and take a look at the head first and kind of look at the nice paint apps on this figure. What I really appreciate right off the bat, as you can see here, is I like the attention to details on the eyes. That nice, very baby blue look, and then you get that nice black dot for the iris. And then, of course, you get the nice blue pupils. And even the, I forget what that is, the red in the corner of your eyes. I forget anatomically what that means, but I just really like that they focused on the design of those eyes. Very beautiful. Same thing with the eyebrows here, how they come up over the eyes, just like that. Ever so slightly, just looks really great. Got that nice ruby red lipstick, really helps with the look. I kind of gave the cheeks a little bit of that rouge. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Brush strokes on there, so it really helps differentiate from just like the skin tone. Same thing with the nose. I like that they didn't do a whole lot of shading, just enough to show that it's a nose. Make sure they get the nostrils looking good, and it just looks natural, you know what I mean? Same thing with the chin there. Looks really great. I love the goggles. The only thing that I will say about the goggles is I kind of wish, both on this one and, let me bring the figure in, on the closed one, is instead of painting the goggles on, I wish they kind of would have instead, like with some figures where they will create, like let's say if it's like glasses, where they'll create it and it actually has lenses, and then they'll glue that to the figure. So in a sense, I kind of wish this is what they would have done here, is I wish they would have made the goggles a separate piece that they glued on. That way you can kind of get that clear, lens look to it. So that's probably my only complaint there, but that's all right. I love the attention to detail on the cap. I like that this actually has like rivets to make it look like cat ears. I like how the leather looks kind of cracked down the middle here. And of course the little, ruffles or ripples to make it show that it's not just one clear piece. Same thing on the back where, the back of the skull and the neck would connect. Really like those ripples in there. Just really beautiful attention to detail. So other than the whole goggle situation, very, very beautiful headpiece, both on this one and on this one. And we'll get more into this one on the paint apps, but yeah, just really beautiful head sculpts all around. So we'll get into the other one when we get into the paint apps of the actual figure. But yeah, I just wanted to gush at how really well done this headpiece is. Now, for Selina's whip, I do want to stress caution with this thing, because this is not supposed to be like this. It is not supposed to be broken. When you're messing with your Selina figure, I highly recommend, so this little piece here, I would highly recommend instead just taking that and doing your best to work it into her hand. Because what I tried to do, because this hole here on this hand is really flipping tight. And so I tried to move, I tried to initially just feed the rope through because it was all one piece and tried to fit it all through. And it seemed to take, but when I went to take it out, the dadgum thing snapped in two. So if you have this figure, be absolutely careful. If you're going to put it in her hand, you may as well just commit to the bit and leave it there, because this is what happened. Just clack. Oh, that frustrated me. Now, the silver lining to this is now at least what I can do. Yes, it may lose some of its value because it's a broken piece, but at least now for those of you that like to pose things, you can kind of put the bottom part there and then take this top part and feed it ever so carefully into the top. Oop, my figure's stuck on the tripod. And that's kind of how you get the effect that she's holding it all the way through. So that's the silver lining for the whip. But yeah, when you buy it, it's one piece, and just be so careful with it. Now I do like, getting that frustration part away. I like that they actually made sure to put leather ripples in the handle. Really like that. I like the cord that comes out here on the bottom. Like the hilt, real pay attention to detail there. And then this is, what do you call it? Vinyl material, not vinyl. Just string, rope. I just have not had enough coffee to explain too much. But as you can see here, you get a really good length on it. So you can coil it and whatnot, or you can take it, attach it to something, make it look like she's swinging, or that she's getting ready to whip someone. So really good length on the rope there. So it's a fun piece, but man, it's snapping like that really drove me crazy. Like when that happened, when I was initially setting up the review, I had to walk away for a minute. I was like, okay, I'm done for a minute, because did not want to get mad. But yeah, those are the accessories. Great stuff. Just be ever so careful with that whip. So to start with some backstory on Selina here, her first appearance was Batman #1 way back in 1940, and that's when she was still kind of rocking the kind of purple and green outfit. I'm kind of glad that down the road, she had that initial look, and then what was it, probably through late 80s and the 90s. She still had kind of like that purple outfit, and she had that her big black hair flowing through the back, and I think she had a tail. I can't remember if that was a thing or not. Let me know down in the comments. But yeah, as the early 2000s came along, I'm kind of glad that they switched the uniform over to this look. And this is, I think this was introduced during the Hush series by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee, which if you have not read Hush, great comic book. The movie, it's all right. I don't like some of the choices they made. But anyway, yeah, that's when her and Bruce finally professed their love for each other, and they finally share an intimate kiss and kind of ran with it instead of, kind of playing cat and mouse, or in this case, cat and bat. Now, as the rebirth happened, her and Bruce were supposed to get married in Tom King's Batman number 50. DC built it up. There was, the tie-in wedding issues, and then they got to issue 50 and they didn't get married. And so they went, 35 more issues of Tom King's Batman run. And they basically got unofficially married, wedding themselves without a minister. So at least that's finally tied in the knot, and I kind of like what James Tynion is currently doing. So yeah, great reading if you guys have not read a lot of Batman. Some good books for you right there to start. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the paint apps of the figure. So like I was just talking about with the other head sculpt just a moment ago, it's equally beautiful. My only problem, again, is with these goggles. If this was translucent and the eyepiece was different, and they kind of just glued it on, then we could have still got, these wonderful looking eyes, but they'd be transparent underneath the yellow here, and that would have looked really cool. So that's probably my only beef. Again, it has the ripples. Same thing in the cat ears. Got that nice little rippliness to it. And see how I was talking about here on the other head sculpt, where it ripples down from the base of the skull down into the outfit. And see, I just like all these wavy lines, just great stuff there. Now you can swap out the heads, just be really careful when you do it. I always like to straighten my heads out before I do it. And you gotta use a little bit of, strength to get it off that ball peg. And as you can see here, it has little spikes, so it really makes sure that it's gonna grip that head. So just always be careful, because you always run the risk of busting that joint. So, hold on. There it goes. Click. And see how this one just looks equally nice on the figure? I think that looks great. Just really adds to the figure. So you got her more of her serious modes and more when she's just kind of, relaxing or has her guard down. Really great head sculpt. So we'll put this one off to the side because I, in all honesty, prefer this one a lot more. I like how the leather, it's not leather obviously, but I like how with all the ripples that I'm talking about, how it goes through the spine, all the way through the legs where it's supposed to bunch up, like on the thighs, the knees, the joints of the arms, and of course, the abs. Same thing here on the front. Just really makes this hard plastic look like it's leathery. Really nice. I like the way it reflects off the light, so you kind of get that nice shimmer look to it. Really like the gloves. I like that they gave her claws, which, that's Selina's thing, being Catwoman and all that stuff. I do wish, though, that they would have given her wrist joints where you could swap out hands so you can get 2 claws and 1 whip. But sadly, you do not get any extra hands, which is like, dang. So you come down here to the boots. I like the line work, the buckles here. I think that looks really good. And of course, the rippling at the feet. I think those look really good. So when it comes to the paint apps, I have no real complaints, as you can see. It's just overall a very beautiful, sculpted figure. Now, some of the articulation's a pain in the butt, and let's go ahead and jump into that. The articulation is not too bad, but I do have a couple of gripes. We'll get into that in a second. So for the head, you can look down that much, and you look up about that much, and there's no real, how like they normally will kind of like that little bit of knock, none of that. And you got nice head swivel there, so that's cool. Arms can go out that much when the little joint right there is on the bottom. Of course, if you spin it, you can get it up about that far, which is really cool. And then this is probably one of my biggest griefs, single jointed elbows. Come on, man. And then the arms do spin 360, so that's all good. She doesn't have any, and this is another thing, she has no type of ab crunch or torso articulation, so she's basically stuck and you have to rely on the legs. So instead of her being able to just you have to really kind of twist the legs and then pose it. So that's irritating, but whatever. The wrists spin 360 there, but sadly the wrists here have no articulation, so you can't spin them up and down. You are just stuck to twisting the wrists up at the top of the gloves, and that's it. For the legs, kick out about that far forward, about that far back. Not too bad. And again, another frustration, single jointed knees. Come on, DC. That double jointedness really helps with posing, man. Come on. Now for the hips. The one redeeming factor here is she does have a butterfly joint, so you can get them out that far. Or because, you know, Catwoman is sort of like Harley in terms of being a gymnast, so you can really at least get some cool kicking motion out of it, so that's a saving grace. She does have an upper thigh cut, so you can at least get articulation there, and thankfully she does have a boot cut too, so you can do that at the feet. But with that, you also do not have any type of foot articulation other than you can just at the boot spin it. So yeah, no type of ankle pivot whatsoever. So that's discouraging. And that's all the articulation for Catwoman. So overall, not bad. I like the butterfly joints there, but I just wish that they would have... Why is it so hard for some figures to not have double jointedness? I mean, at this point, you would think that that would be a company standard, especially since they know a lot of people like to take their figures and pose them, and being able to have that extra bendiness to it really helps. And especially in ab crunch, especially when you're trying to do jumping, flying, swinging, what have you. So I'd probably say maybe a 3.5 out of 5 in terms of the articulation. So for some size comparisons, here's the DC Essentials Harley Quinn that we went over last time. This is the DC Designer Series Greg Capullo Batman, and this is the DC Essentials Nightwing. And as you can kind of see from this line, they all scale really well. All the figures kind of run in between the 6 and a 6.5 inch range. I'm not going to sit here and measure each one of them, but I just kind of want to give you the ballpark of each figure. And as you can see, they scale so well together. The height, like Batman, may look a little short here, but you have to kind of just go with it. You know what I mean? But I think these look great. And then if you kind of throw in an extra character into the mix here, so just for an idea, here's the DC Multiverse Joker. And as you can see, he still looks pretty well. I mean, he's kind of in the foreground here, but you kind of get him next to Harley. And, he's not going to tower over any of the other real characters, like, ginormously. So, again, you're going to get a really nice scale look about it. So, see, even he looks good next to the Nightwing, who stands a little bit taller. So I can't complain. That's why I appreciate that even when Mattel had the toy license, the scaling went well. And that's one thing I'm kind of nervous about a lot of these McFarlane toy figures, because they're ranging in the 7.5 inch scale. So it's like, oh boy, as we saw with that McFarlane one with this Harley, where that other Harley just towered over her like a behemoth. So with that, if you do a lot of toy photography, you're just going to have to use a lot of depth of field to eliminate that height difference. So I kind of hope on McFarlane's next outing that he kind of learns from his first couple of waves and starts to scale them with some of these older figures, because, we want all of our action figures to look proportionally correct. But at least for these DC Direct ones, the DC Collectibles, I guess, is the overarching brand for these, they look great together. So overall, guys, I think this is a beautiful piece depicting Jay Lee's rendition of Catwoman. I like the paint apps. I think they look absolutely beautiful, especially the face and especially the attention to detail on the leather to make it look more natural. The one thing that kills me is you have to be so very careful with this whip, which I feel like, with your figures, you do have to be careful. But because, we weren't the ones that built it, I wish that DC would have thought, well, how can we make sure that that's not going to snap on people? I kind of wish maybe instead of solid plastic, I wish that it would have been like more, like flexible rubber. That way you don't have to worry about it breaking, but I guess that wouldn't look so natural in terms of photography. So the only two things, again, that I probably have against this, three things, is we didn't get translucent goggles, so you could see the eyes through the closed mask. The hard plastic leather, or the hard plastic whip that snaps, and the articulation. No single jointed elbows, no double jointed elbows, no double jointed knees, no ab crunch, and no ankle pivots, and no wrist articulation, so that you can get that really dynamic posing that you need when you either want to just display on your shelf or if you want to do photography like I do. So those type of things you have to take into consideration. And I'm kind of hoping that even though, this is a little older of a figure that DC has learned since then, but we'll see. But as an overarching thing, I'd have to give this figure 4 out of 5 batarangs because it is just absolutely beautiful. And I like this iteration of Catwoman. I think it looks absolutely great. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this figure, please make sure to first check with your local comic shop and see if they can order it for you. And at the time of this recording, we're all stuck inside. See if they can either mail order it to you or deliver it and drop it at your door, or they do curbside service. And if they can't, which I hope, fingers crossed, that they can, then like I said, I will more than likely have to check this thing out on Amazon and or eBay. And if you've enjoyed this review, we definitely appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can absolutely know, especially at this point where we had to restart the channel and we lost all of our subscribers, but it had to be done because of technical issues. But yeah, and if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Catwoman bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified and come to the channel. We'd love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with you down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I will make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So make sure to stay tuned. We'll have a photo slideshow here at the end of this review. And I hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.